Started. Okay. Hi again.
Hi,
Hi, how are you doing?
I know you.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks. Yeah, we haven't talked for a while, and I figured we should, check on things. And I don't know what's going on in your country. In Spain, I have another friend in Spain, and she's saying, you know, pretty much that Spanish people are very obedient. They like to comply. They don't question much. And I also know that you're in some groups, with other star seeds and
Yes.
people who are awake. And what is your perspective right now? What is going on in the country? And energy-wise, what do you feel?
Well, I think that the restrictions of COVID are starting to be reinforced because of the holidays are coming, so they have great fear for the virus. So,
Yeah.
and also there was a little bit of fear of the vaccine being mandatory because there's many people who doesn't believe it's good for the body. Me
Hmm.
included.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, it was almost mandatory, but now it's not, so we're happy for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any videos circulating, that because there was one video on Big Shoot, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing the website right, but that's the one that is not censored. And there was a nurse who just received the vaccine and she passed out. And
Yes.
then I heard in another video yesterday, it was on Super Soldier Talk. No, Starseed Talk. That guy Hendrix who interviewed my daughter and me. He said that that nurse died, 2 days later. Yeah, so she never came back to life, which of course they would never talk about. But so I I don't know. It's the same here, and also my friend in England, she said they're in stage 4 right now, and she said you can only mix you stay at home, you don't go out, you can only mix with one person, so you can invite one person for Christmas to your home or your house. And yeah, this is just crazy. And how about outside? Do you have the law that you have to wear a mask in the fresh air, or there's no law
Yes,
about it?
there's mandatory masks, so everybody has to wear it. If not, you have a fine of hundreds of dollars.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah, not yet in Chicago. I was walking through the park, even though Americans are very much obedient too.
Mhm.
So, I mean, and they're scared
Oh yeah.
also. There's no official fine. It's
Hmm.
just, consideration for elderly people, recommendation, but
Hmm.
everybody wearing it. I mean, I saw a few families, but a couple of them were speaking Russian, another one Bulgarian. So basically, like mostly Eastern Europeans who don't, but Americans totally like wear masks outside, which is, you know, and little kids, the child in the stroller. Do your kids tiny little? I mean, they gotta be like 1.5 year old and they're wearing masks, even though the CDC recommends do not put it on a child before the 2 years of age.
Even 5 years old is not recommended.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And we have a building next door. It says in the elevator, children before the age of 12 are exempt from wearing a mask. I mean, I'm all confused. Everybody makes his own rules, and you're in the middle. I think confusion is part of the whole plot, too. You know?
To create separation in the spiritual community, like whether you are supportive of mass or not, and confusive on what's healthy or not, to make people us more.
Right. And in between families, too. Like, my husband is pro mask, and I'm not, but now I'm just saying, hey, people, I'm all neutral. I'm just watching the circle unfolding before my eyes. That's all I'm doing. Because you have to be not on the right, not on the left. It's all duality. You have to be in the middle, but it's very hard to do. And I feel, yeah,
Right.
But are they announcing? I know you're probably not watching TV either, just like me. But yeah, so we don't know much what's going on. But I think that so they're vaccinating the doctors, all this medical personnel. I don't know if they got exemptions or not, because I just saw a video of some Lithuanian, I think. I don't think she's a doctor, but she's been working at the hospital for a long time. And she said, I can't watch it anymore. And I don't think I can talk about it on YouTube because this video will be deleted if I told her story. But she basically said that doctors are following the protocol and the protocol is not correct, and the people come to the hospital feeling fine and all of a sudden they die. What's happening? So, you know what I mean? So I don't know. Even with this, I know we have to use some
I
in code words like sheep virus and all this stuff,
yeah.
killer one or yeah,
I
I
have heard that the CEO of one of the vaccines didn't want to take the vaccine. So it's like they know it's not good for the body.
right, like Elon Musk. He was interviewed and he said, I'm not taking it. I'm not in a risk group. I
Yeah.
mean, basically, who's in the risk group? People after 60, right? Or they also say kids, but kids get it. I had a family, both kids got it. No symptoms.
Oh.
Nothing, absolutely. But kids are feared because they are spreading it.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's always something. But yeah, we were given an option to keep kids at home and to send them to school. And because my husband is so scared, and basically I'm a different opinion about all of this, but I'd like to keep them home for different reasons, because I feel like in this situation they can turn up the alarm of massive pandemic, and in the big good for others you have to sacrifice the children in a way,
Yeah.
get them vaccinated forcefully, maybe in schools when parents are not allowed. Because
Mm.
I've gone to different timelines, like in trance. You probably feel it. I know you're very sensitive. You feel all this anxiety in the air when you come out, right? Yeah, and that we just don't know, because people say, oh, December or like January, December are the toughest months, but we
Yes,
also.
coming
Mhm.
to celebrate, Christmas and all of that. So
Right. Are you allowed to get together, or they're gonna be monitoring you?
yes, we're allowed to reunite, but only 6 people maximum. Because
Yeah. Okay. Is it only family members or like friends too?
no, theoretically, anyone who is your friend or family.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I guess because my oldest is in private school, and after Thanksgiving, they closed the school. They said, well, Thanksgiving people get together. There's another thing they're doing. I have friends from Argentina. They're going back to Buenos Aires, to show their baby girl to their parents. But, I mean, they don't know how it's going to play out because their flight is in a month. Yeah, they need a COVID test
Mm.
again, even though they had COVID. They got sick, they tested positive, they got over it, but they still need a COVID test, which is
Oh,
very weird. It's like, because it mutates, I guess, maybe there, but it's also has a lot of false negatives and false positives.
yes.
I but people in Buenos Aires are finally coming out of their, rabbit holes where they've been kept for 9 months of quarantine. What she said, I don't know how they did it. She said the people with kids thought that they were gonna go mentally sick, like
Yeah.
ill. It's insane. I don't know. England is I mean, they're fantastic. Did you see the videos of English people coming in London to this big plaza, singing this song and
Oh yes.
about everything, right? It's all around the internet. And after this, they're still doing it. And
Oh.
they're putting them in like indoors quarantine. It's just crazy. But see what I see in Astro, like the America is actually like a reptilian headquarters,
Oh yes.
home base. So I don't know if it's gonna play out that they're gonna kind of preserve this area,
Mm.
maybe keep it like a little more free, or maybe the opposite. I don't know how it's gonna. We've done so many investigation sessions, and mostly in Russian. And I know my English, subscribers didn't understand Russian. And that's why I'm trying to balance it out. And there's so many different timelines. It's basically whenever they post something big, and they're trying, people should understand, they're trying to put their personal, like people, those who channel, a
Yeah.
lot of them put specifically in those spiritual communities to deceive, to spread misinformation, because people trust them. Through them, they can deliver bad news. And those people who listen, they believe in bad news. By believing, they put all the energy of their creation into it, and they create those bad news,
The,
you know.
with the virus, I came to understand that yes, it was tinkered in a lab and everything, and there were people that had their own negative agenda, but at the same time, this happened on a higher level, represented the idea of humanity disconnecting from nature, and the experience of not breathing and everything, the mask, the
Um,
thing. So besides knowing that there are people who have bad intentions, I personally wouldn't give like so much like attention or focus to these like secret societies and these governments, these dark governments, because people are putting in them too much power. For example, I understand if somebody doesn't want to wear a mask, I'm totally fine and neutral,
mhm.
but I wouldn't neither like create more polarity, like some people are doing, like anti-maskers with maskers fighting and who is right,
Mhm.
trying to find who was the one who created the virus or for what it is. I would just rather focus on the idea of like, unity and and staying protected, like helping each other instead of like going into the conspiracy. But I do like to, anyways, expose the government for for the acts that are visible to us, and we can demand, the government. So we have to really find, I just said, that balance.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm just totally focusing right now on the
Yeah.
kids and the family, and but I also see in relationship with others, even though they are high consciousness and spiritual and all that, this, we, our human body as a vessel, it's like a suit that we wear, our soul. It has so many programs. It's unbelievable. Like, sometimes like I have this clients and I don't answer their question on time after this session, let's say, because I
Mhm.
have so many writing to me at the same time, and they would say, oh, maybe you're bored with me or something, or maybe it's not, I asked too many questions, because, and I say, it's just your program. I have
Mhm.
4 kids, I'm busy, and also new clients, and just you have to do something about it, work on yourself, because we have to be more understanding to each other, and just
Yeah.
yeah, it just doesn't work that way. People automatically snap into this old reaction, action reaction. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, I'm angry at you. Or I noticed that a lot. And then I also noticed there is competition,
Oh
and
yeah.
there's huge competition between um, like especially like I'm in this group of, like world of regressology, all this session thing, regressive hypnosis. And it's like, who's better? Who's doing this? Who's got more clients or more sessions posting? And I got into it and I see people who are high vibration, they just leave. They want
Yes.
to do their own thing and they don't want to participate in big groups. And
Yeah.
that's one thing. On one hand, it would be nice to unite all together. On the another hand, in unity, there also it breaks up a big group of united people, breaks up into a little group of united. It's like our nature of our genetic, you know, material. It's just like fibers of our genetic material have this DNA encoded in it.
Yeah.
I'll be friends with this particular person talking about this people. What are they doing? Why are they doing that? You know what I mean? And you're just looking at everything and thinking, I don't want to be like that. But you are. And it takes enormous amount of energy to work on yourself with this. Because your first intention is like, oh, you get a negative comment and you want to delete it. And then you're thinking, wait, this person's probably going through hell of a
Yeah.
time with his husband, kids, or relatives, or even friends. You never know. It's
Yeah.
always inside that is ugly and then going outside.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a
I
tough time.
a lot of people like that, who will be like competing on a spiritual level. Like, for example, I'm a channeler of my higher mind, and sometimes I post stuff, but sometimes I use my Facebook profile to post random things or just whatever. And
Mm,
people in my comment section and are trying to correct me and try to kind of like look more spiritual. And it's so annoying because I'm just also a human being, so they're always trying to be like better, like to seem like they know better and they are the ones who are correct, like can get this
yeah.
nurture ego. So sometimes it's kind of annoying, but I get to learn that I was projecting an energy of defensiveness because I am there, so I'm really much about defending myself, like creating a core. So I I stopped like to be defensive because when you are defensive, you have to create in your consciousness. You also have to include in your consciousness the other side of the equation, which is the
Mm,
attack. So
yeah.
if I will stop being so defensive and just leave, like not answer them, I will
Right.
actually attract them so much. And it has
Yeah.
given me the freedom lately.
Right. Does it happen to you too when person's writing something, you just read the first few words and you feel it's going to be a very negative message and you just never open it or read it?
Yes.
I leave messages like that. Some people
Wow.
are just naturally they're used to it. I have this one woman, she used to work in the army on a boat all her life, army person, commander, of others. And she would tell me openly what she totally thinks and, you have a different opinion. But in a very negative way and type way, like she's ordering me, she's telling me what I have to do. And nobody can tell me what I have to do. So I never answer, never open. And then
Well,
in a while she writes a nice message and which I just discard what it was in the past. I cannot be mad at people. This is something, and I find more and more people who like me
yeah.
because I used to work with a person who thought that there was a lack of me, that I cannot get angry with people. She said, you have to learn how to be angry and mad at somebody because you're like a child. You're just, always happy, or just leave them alone, when they're trying to attack you. But one thing they don't understand, this is a planet of souls from totally different dimensions, races. We're all so different. And that the DNA, the characteristics, shapes the projection and understanding of the world around us. So
Yeah,
how can we understand one thing the same way? It's almost like it's created on purpose that way, so we would always fight. And until we fight, this planet and this level plane would exist. And,
I
that's exactly how it works.
yeah, it's part of the Anunnaki agenda. Actually, they they wanted to create different languages and separate people and create the idea of racism so that people will fight for being better or not to understand each other's culture and dismiss them, be discriminate. And I think that in America, politics has been really polarized a lot to create even more separation and fighting. Because, in America, it's like red versus blue. But in Spain and European countries, we have more colors, like more parties, third parties. So it's not that polarized. But I think that as
Yeah.
America country, they really, really want to make it like totally divided,
Yeah, it's true. And the people, like when I go out with kids, our playgrounds are closed, and I just hop over the fence with the kids when it's getting darker because it's usually old people who complain. But it's cold outside. We're wearing gloves. We're not leaking the equipment. We're not gonna spread the virus. It's just me and the kids and our friends. They play together outside of playground the same way like inside. So we hop over, and there was this guy, he's from India. He says, "How did you get here?" I said, "Just hop over the fence." So we helped his 9-year-old boy over. And in between, people here in America are very friendly and nice towards each other. Like, I'm Ukrainian, he's Indian, this person from Czech, from Poland, from, all over the place. We're all like friends. I feel like we're more united by ideas. Right now, the friends I'm friends with are those I think you naturally gravitate according to your vibration that way. Like, we don't vaccinate, we understand the agenda. We are all but all those people, almost they've all been in the position when they were vaccinating, or somebody of one of their friends did, and the child suffered terrible, side effects, and they didn't themselves. And there are more and more young people thinking of homeschooling, not vaccinating, all this stuff. They're understanding what's going on, but those are crystal souls, indigos, and rainbow children, It's pretty interesting. I was going to ask you about the Anunnaki. How do you feel? Who really created, who seeded the first human the way we are now? Because
yeah.
there's a lot of answers here.
Research actually, because it's not really like we connect sometimes to different timelines, and timelines have their own consciousness, but they're not like there are millions of parallel realities, but timelines are a constructive kind of like idea, like a strong like scheme of events.
Mm-hmm.
So they are more reduced, even if we're talking more when we're talking about collective consciousness. So the idea that I connect to, the path that I connect to, is that the Anunnaki. Well, this is the most general idea to everybody. The
Mm-hmm.
Anunnaki came from the Orion system, in which there was a lot of polarity, and there was a lot of negativity, low vibrations, war, and there was the idea of tyranny, of someone having power over others. What we experience now, the dark governments having power over the other people, fighting for resources, being materially oriented towards power and technologies. So they eventually destroy their own ecosystems, their own planets and atmospheres, and they had to find other viable planets, atmospheres, not only for living or staying there, having a base, but actually also like getting resources, material resources. That was a goal. Many of their technology is based on monatomic gold, and so
Mm-hmm.
for conductivity and many health, many other reasons, many other sciences that they know. So, for example, the idea of spraying gold in the atmosphere and healing it, So they needed that, and they found out that the Earth had a lot of mines. So
Mm-hmm.
they started to work on the mines, a group of people, a minority. But with time, they find out that they didn't want it to work. They didn't want it to do the, to extract the gold, and they were tired and everything. They were feeling like slaves, so they decided to create a slave, and that was
Mm-hmm.
between
Slave race. Mm-hmm.
because the hominids will not do the work, will not know how to do this. So they had to give them their knowledge, their abilities, but they didn't want this hybrid race to have the consciousness, the awareness of, like
Being
being
used so
exactly.
they would never get out of slavery.
So they disconnected artificially those codons, certain codons in their DNA, so that they will not remember who they are. They will not know how to empower themselves, how to create their own reality, and they will just be slaves.
Right. Like people now vegetating in front of TV and believing what the government says, just like puppets themselves too, in the hands of big puppets. And
Exactly.
so whom do you feel like in power? How has the world, because I see like it's divided between races, and what races are, so basically they use different DNA material, right?
Yeah.
Because they created these different races. I had a session where I saw that Chinese, for instance, they have mixture of the gray DNA in them. They're mostly like grays. And if
Yes.
you kind of look at them, yeah, they kind of look like them
I
for
thought that.
sure. Yeah, and the Russians are more like Nordic and those tall whites,
And
you know.
actually, they have from Sirius B. I know that after the first hybridization happened, many other races decided to join and participate because they saw this as an opportunity to give a piece of their civilization, a piece of their consciousness, of their soul. So they
Mhm.
saw the great experiment, and they wanted to co-create like something big, and to give them the ability not to intervene and tell them and save them and put these people, in another planet or anything, but actually keep their DNA so that eventually they will come to eventually to an awakening, and they will use knowledge that will come from their civilizations and use it in their own way and create a new world together. So they saw this as an experiment, and that's actually how many races were created, and how that they have different like looks and ideas and cultures. Like eventually, for example, mayans the Mayans were connected to the Pleiadians from Maya. That's why they're called like that. The Egyptians were connected more to Orion and to Sirius B, and things like that. Like all great civilizations have like their own connection, and that's how eventually all get together into a mixture of genetic diversity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful in the way it was
Yeah.
supposed to be, but then the whole idea behind, it's almost like we have it in our society too. The something is created for the good of others, but then all of a sudden the materialistic parts weighs over the spiritual part when you are actually helping yourself and others in the process, right? And then it becomes like a big money making machine. And I see it happening a lot, like with people who start up, but then they end up with the same. And that's when they get those entities in their energy spheres and implants,
Yeah.
and some even say that, come out and say, I'm a good reptilian and I got implants, and I'm gonna deliver information. I channel good reptilians. And you have to be so discerning with all this. Plus the channeling, it's, some even say that channeling, you can never go high enough to channel anyways, anybody. Because all these layers of entities who are trying to use us as energy source.
Many people.
What's the point of channeling anyways?
Yeah, I do channel my higher mind because,
Yourself, but not others. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm for this. Just channel your own soul, your own subconscious, but not, you know.
Well, I do love when people channel other beings too, but as long as, they are of the light, they have like a purpose. Because
Mm,
when we receive like the energy of these beings, as we're hybrids, we can activate that part of our soul that vibrates in that energy. For example, somebody channel Pleiadians can activate our Pleiadian energy, and it can help us in our path eventually. But it's really hard to develop.
discern. You have to touch them. What I do in sessions, I touch them, I read their DNA to make sure who they are, because what I see happened, it's like a virus. It's almost like a cancer cell that spread its roots all around. And Pleiadians we see now are not real. They're
Oh,
kind of like in duality, they're not good Pleiadians anymore, like people think they are, you know? The same thing I see like those humanoids from Sirius B when I go there. I mean, it's all like some timelines, it's totally a prison planet, just like just like Earth. I
yeah.
see, then I don't want to come back there. I basically just decided after this life, I'm going back to my original platform. I call it platform of creation, where my whole self is, because it's become like a nightmare. This whole universe, it's very tricky, and there's
Yeah,
a lot of deception and lies everywhere.
yeah,
Alternative universes, then they create cloned universes, cloned realities. They trick you into, you don't even know on what reality you are. You think you're still there in your old one, but you're in a new one, and which is totally artificial. And so
yeah.
it
Agendas right playing out. So I don't know. I don't follow many people. I follow in the sense of like, channelers. I only follow like three maximum because, then there are some whistleblowers that many people like, glorify and everything. Like, for example, Corey Good. I have never resonated with Corey Good because I work with resonance, and I did never feel like the message, the blue avians that he was connecting to, was a message that cared a lot for humanity and its only purpose was the evolution of the mankind. I felt that there was something behind
yeah,
it, some interest. So I have just really like knew it.
you're breaking down for some reason. It gotta be the connection, right? Once we start talking about Corey Good, the connection is breaking down. Your voice is like hard to hear. I never watched him. Everybody kept sending me, "Oh, come on, it's only $1 a month, whatever that the website is." And I wouldn't even watch him for free. I watched a little bit, like 10 minutes once, and I feel the same like you do. Don't resonate at all with this team.
Yeah.
Nah, and we always have to remember the information is always mixed. They always mix, 10% or more, the truthful information mixed with non-truth. And then people get confused. It sounds like, and then our nature for human, overall, our nature of a soul. There's so many young souls here who
Yeah.
don't have much experience. We just like little kids running around. We trust everything.
Yes.
I was
Where
like that.
I
Yeah.
we really do like lead the way to a better future and start to realize what kind of choices we're making and what kind of things we're buying to, because it takes commitment to really like come out of the shadow and work together and have discernment. That's the most important thing, and be secure in your path and know what you're doing, because there is a lot of right now. So the people who are more like, shut inside and don't really know, and they can be easily taken. from. There are many beliefs that are being spread that are so ridiculous sometimes. Like I got a friend, I used to have a friend in Norway, and one day, hey, I seen a video in which they say that all celebrities are transgender or something like that, and it's like that's just true. There,
Mm-hmm.
know, many people are buying, in the new age community, many people are buying to many different, like, that doesn't make sense. They're putting the focus away from the things that matter the most, the things that are real, really happening, and we need to put the focus to.
Right. Yeah, you really the connection is breaking down. It's hard to hear. But yeah, the new age is like a new religion for sure. I mean, it was created to deceive people because they're so smart. I mean, they just know that people are waking up and hey, what are we gonna do? We're gonna deceive them. We're gonna put lots of traps for those
Yeah,
who wake up, who half awake and half asleep, all this, we're going to penetrate our tentacles of an octopus into all those groups, creations of the awakened ones, too.
yeah,
So everybody has his own trap. So you can't really. Yeah, I got to the point I only trust myself, honestly. I mean, on everything, I just go through and go in trance and check myself whether the information for me is truthful or not in my reality. Oh boy. One sec. Okay, I'm gonna stop, and then I'm gonna call you back because the connection is terrible.